Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the In for Value podcast. Today, our guest is Clint Adamson from Pleasant Ridge Construction. He's been a friend of mine for many years. We've been working in some projects together. So I know his struggles. He knows mine. We know his family. He knows my family. I know his kids since they were very little. The same thing with him.
Your kids have never been little.
True, they're pretty tall.
Yeah.
But anyways, so today we want to have a nice conversation about construction, about the struggles, about the pleasant things that also that we can accomplish on this industry. So I'm gonna hang it over to Clint. Clint, introduce yourself and tell our audience who you are.
So, Clint Adamson, my wife and I have been running Pleasant Ridge Construction since 2004. Met Israel and his family in 2006 when they bought a house that was built on spec. They bought it sight
From
unseen
Dream Homes Builders,
from
right?
a company I was partnered with called American Dream Homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and so they built a few homes in a subdivision I developed, and then we took it over and built from there from 2006, pretty much 2006 on in that spec home market, and we wanted to be in the self-employment business. We wanted to be where we controlled our time and our schedule and our family time, and we learned pretty quickly that that you lose family time in the self-employment side. So you're gonna spend a lot more hours running your business than you ever imagined, and we learned that and tried to make a work-life balance. But being an entrepreneur, being a self-employed contractor, and my wife is a realtor as well since 2009. That it's there's times that you can't walk away from the job and spend that family time that you really want. But so that's one of the personal struggles is
Balancing families.
balance
Yeah.
and family. And but the nice thing is we book a vacation, we take the vacation, and we deal with the roller coaster when we get back
Yeah.
that we have to deal with, and sometimes take work with us, phones, computers. Make sure you're at least managing that side of the business if you can't be on the job every day. But we enjoy being self managed, and the struggles come with family, with finance, cash flow, and then headaches, stresses. There's different stresses on the jobs that either dealing with employees, dealing with trade contractors, mistakes by either, or they can't show up when your schedule needs them. So those are all challenges that we battle. But the good part is we get to build a product for customers, and you get to put your name on it, be proud of it. I think we're missing some of that from trades, that having that
The
pride
pride,
of ownership, and so we kind of have to push for that, and I think some of that's come from us not developing our team, taking our employees, taking our trade contractors, and saying, hey, you got to really own this and be proud of what you're walking away from, not just the guy behind me, and it's usually the painter.
Yeah.
Will fix it, and then
Painter's supposed to fix
they're
everything.
supposed to fix everything, right? And so we beat ourselves up doing that,
Yeah.
and frustrate the next guy and the next guy, and so developing that team mentality that we're all here to build a quality product and feed our families and make a living and do that is probably something we struggle at.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then just adding to what you're saying is for everyone up there that is thinking to start a business, to come to the construction industry, and a lot of times, what we see in social media is like somebody owns a business, and we tend to show the good parts, right?
Yeah.
The good faces. And we think like, oh, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to just work these certain hours. I'm going to make a lot more money. And I'm going to have plenty of time for my family. And we think that that's exactly what's going to happen. In an ideal world, that'll be awesome, right? If those things can happen. And that should be not too far from reality. But in the real world, most of us, when we start a business, we become like a slave of the business, struggling to find the balance.
That's a fact.
Struggling to find the balance between family, between our own responsibilities with a community, church, or stuff like that, and with the customers.
Customers, for sure.
And then because we don't have experience then when we first come in, how to manage customers, we feel obligated to whatever my customer wants.
Well, I think not just the industry, but the world in general has this: the customer's always right.
Yeah.
And so a customer has a complaint or a concern, and you want to fix that, and at an expense that sometimes you can't afford, where maybe it's not even something that's you're doing, but you're still going to make it right with the customer, so you get the happy customer, the good review, but it comes at an expense to either your bottom line or your time with family or your ability to do something else that you wanted to do for that customer. So.
Exactly. And we're not saying or complaining here that the customer doesn't deserve our time. They're paying for the project. They put in money. What we're talking here, and I want people to take from this, talk with you, Clint, is like we want to bring attention to an issue that is going on around in construction, and we see it every day because we're in it, and it's very painful. That the fact that we start a business to live better, a lot of times we find ourselves creating a lot of stress, a lot of pain. I call it self-inflicted pain a lot of times, because sometimes we are really good at what we do. It's physically, the work like painting or framing or roofing. We're very good at those things. But running a business is more important to get better of customer service and then marketing and then there's other things that we have no experience.
Well, and I think with customers, it's about setting expectations. This is when we'll meet and communicate that these are what you expect of me. This is what I expect of you, and I wanna walk away from every job, every customer that we're friends, and you wanna see me on the street and not turn away from me. You wanna tell your friends about the great experience we had building a home together, but that takes both directions, and understanding what's possible, and understanding what the need is, and then setting those expectations both directions. And so.
So how long you been building homes with your business? About 18 years?
Yeah, so we started the business in 2004. It was a remodel and like home improvement based. We bought land, developed that land in 2005, and then started building homes in 2005, 2006, and then went from building those spec homes in that development, moved away from remodels and additions to building all new construction as our primary focus. And that was probably, we did one or two custom homes every year or 2 years, and then really in 2015 we changed that model to building all custom homes and building, not trying to build 10 or more, building more like 4 to 6 custom homes a year from 2015 on, all up and down the valley, Yakima Valley and Yakima area.
So what challenges do you see, like you've been in the business for a while, what are the main challenges do you see for like a smaller general contractor building custom homes or spec homes in general with the residential contractor, what are the main issues that you see or challenges facing those contractors today?
Well, I think the big challenge is knowing your numbers, like you had mentioned earlier, is you got to be able to cash flow your projects between getting payments from either from the bank on a spec or the bank on a custom or the customer, and the cash flow, managing that cash flow is key, and then knowing your numbers, knowing if your markup versus your margin is right. And sometimes we want to just get the job done, and then figure out if we made money in the end, and that's a really bad way. We've tried that. Yeah. We've tried the get everything going and just keep the ball rolling and make sure the job's getting done, and then figure out if we made money in the end. And it's usually, if you're in that case, you're not making money in the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and as far as this, like dealing with customers, do you feel or have you seen in the last years that customers are getting more demanding, more difficult, or this is something that
varies? I think customers have gotten to a point, and I think it's more younger generation customers have this instant gratification need. They need to have that done now, done immediately, and we see that from 30-minute TV shows on TV, mm-hmm. and showing a turnaround time that's just not practical in the industry without unlimited resources. But they want that instant gratification. They also have this mentality that you're their employee.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a long time going. We've created that in our industry just because of that. We want to satisfy the customer. But I think the big thing is that anything that you see online is possible, or on TV is possible mentality, and it shouldn't cost as much as you're charging for. And if we don't set that expectation of that's doable, we can make that happen, but it's gonna not be free.
It's gonna come with a number.
It's not part of the scope that your number is. The other thing is we've done this to ourselves in the industry is we've started projects without enough information, without the customer's budget, We've started projects without enough information. Mm-hmm. We permit it. We get to the foundation started. We get to framing and the shell, and then we're scrambling for those. Oh, we need to meet a budget number instead of we set the expectation with a number. So as contractors, we've allowed the industry to just get ahead of ourselves instead of having that customer make their selections and determine what that finished product looks like before we ever start the project. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's something that I feel like we as contractors need to be brave, for lack of words, right? To stand up for ourselves and communicate clearly their expectations, customer expectations, and our needs and our responsibility. Because one of the biggest things that you just touched, what I see with many general contractors building homes for clients, basically they become like puppets. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean it in a bad way for the customer. Like I said, I understand that they deserve and they're paying this guy. But I feel like the mentality, around here, it's like if you got money, you can control and you can dictate what you want, and sometimes in a not very nice way, mm-hmm. right? So a lot of times, the contractor, he's very frustrated because the customer thinks like he's not doing the job like he's supposed to, that he got hired to do. And then the customer starts like making decisions, and the contractor gets frustrated. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I tell him, why don't you just sit down with your client and make it clear and just talk to them. Why did they hire you? You came into the project with all your subs, with all years of experience building homes, and then your client here is basically, without them knowing, getting in your way to finish the project that they hire you to finish, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they tell me, well, is their money, is their house, but it's like,
I've said that.
okay,
Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah.
but listen, the reason they did that research for many contractors and they decided for you, that's because they like your quality or they like something about your character, your business model. So they hire you. So all you have to be, without being disrespectful, you just have to let them know that, hey, these are my subs. I've been doing this for many years. It's not my first project. You need to trust me. Let me finish my job that I was hired to do. You don't have to be rude to the client, but you just have to find a way.
No. I think there's a really key thing you said about communication is you have to communicate up front, and I feel like that's something I've done well with our customers. Is if there's a problem, I'm going to point it out to them. I'm not going to let them find it.
Yeah.
And I think subs or trade contractors and employees have hurt that in the past, and we're gonna brush it aside, let the next guy find it.
Oh yeah.
And then it becomes a compounding problem instead of a problem we can actually fix or address. And so the not just communicating with the customer, your expectations, finding out theirs is with our trade contractors, with anyone that's in that house, and that anything they do has a domino effect on everything behind them and maybe even around them, and making sure that your team is set up with the mentality that we're in this together as a team for that customer, and vice versa. That customer hired us because of our professional quality, our professional schedule, our ability to complete and hand over a project, and so when we let those expectations slip is where we start getting in trouble.
In your opinion, why do you see, because, well, I see it, and I don't know if you see it, like most contractors today, they seem to be really frustrated, really tired, not happy doing the thing that they choose to do. And, a lot of good contractors, I've been having conversations with them, and they tell me, they say, listen, I'm just going to make a transition to the, not the residential, the business or the commercial construction.
Side, yeah.
Because residential is just becoming real difficult, not only because they're not making enough money, also because of the regulations from our states and all the counties and all that stuff, that is making it so hard that I've seen some of the, over here in some roundabouts, signs, people with signs, hiring framers, asking for framers to hire because they cannot find framers. Why do you think that problem exists?
Well, I think it all comes down to money and time. So when I'm not making enough to pay my bills, and when contractors aren't making enough to pay their bills, to cover the costs and put a little bit in their bank account, because if we're just here to make wages, that's where guys start saying, I'm going to leave the industry. I'm going to go make wages somewhere else and not have the headache. And so if you're putting in a lot of time and not getting paid for it, that's where the frustration comes. And like you said, there's a customer expectation that drives that they work for me, I can get whatever I want out of that. And then the contractor needs to say, you hired me to do a job, I'm going to do it, but it's not going to be free. No. I'm not going to give away my time and give away my family time and give away my bottom line and give away my ability to pay my overhead and keep growing in my business. And so with the bottom line or money and time, contractors get frustrated and say, where else can I turn with my skills, my skill set? Commercial's where we go. I know a lot of residential contractors from 2008, 2009, that bubble burst. There wasn't any work. There wasn't any money.
Mm-hmm.
They left the trades, either completely left the trades or they left residential and went on to commercial markets, putting commercial floors in, commercial painting, commercial roofing, and they're not coming back to residential. Then you go, well, what about all the government regulations? Well, residential regulations in Washington are the strictest in the nation. And so we have this energy code that we have to follow, and we have this building code, and codes are fine, but over regulated becomes cost, and we can't just take that out of our pockets. You can't take it out of your pocket to cover that cost. It's driving the cost of homes and the cost to build residential homes astronomically, and so we got to get our legislators back to, hey, this is what's needed, and then you have options. So right now we don't have options. We have to put in the best units, the best possible insulation in the country in Washington. So that's just driving the cost of buildup. And so that regulation, the time it takes, the money it takes, and if the customer is not willing to pay for that, we got to be willing to say, no, we're not going to build that. And I'm not going to reach deeper in my pocket to build it. I gotta go where I can get paid for my skills, and a lot of times that's the commercial market.
And I don't want it to sound like we criticizing our leadership, but a lot of times I feel like a lot of people running in those offices, that coming up with these regulations, they probably don't have a business like that, like a smaller contractor do. So they're living here the real life, and sometimes those regulations don't match with reality, right? The reality of cost.
Not at all. For there to be affordable housing, we need an affordable minimum wage. A minimum wage that I can hire a high school student to sweep floors, to gain apprentice type skills. Minimum wage is the highest in the country, and I won't hire a laborer to clean up my jobs. My carpenters, myself, I'm expecting my trade contractors to do more cleaning up after themselves. So you're losing that young person coming up into the industry. You're losing that affordability because I got to pay guys wages, the carpenter wages to sweep floors because the minimum wage has gone up so much. And just in that one thing that the government controls has cost the industry a lot of money and a lot of training of young people in the trades.
To me, that's the worst damage that can be done to the construction industry, because you and I know very well, and anybody that is a contractor up there, or even for that matter, even our community, trying to hire a professional with a lot of experience, with quality. I hear it every day. Can I find people to work for you? And one of the things that I always say to contractors is like, do you really think your sons and my sons are going to want to come into the construction industry when they see their father getting home frustrated, like broke and always tired, and all the problems that they see that you always, and because sometimes as contractors, we focus on the problems all the time, and we get sucked in and locked into those problems.
Well, you and I are problem solvers. People come to us with a I need this problem solved. They may not say it that way. I need a home built. I don't know how to do it. I need a house
That's what
painted.
I always tell people.
I don't need to do it. But we're solving their problem. Can we solve it equitably and fairly? Absolutely. I think it's setting that expectation. Can we do it with the regulations that we have? Can we do it cheaper? Never. Yeah. So we should never take that, the other guy can do it cheaper. We should never take that and meet their price. We should say, well, you should hire them if price is your main goal. But if you want quality, if you want that relationship that you can come and talk to me anytime and not be mad and we can address problems together, then choose me. But if you need it strictly on price, I don't want to be the cheapest guy out there. I want to be the best problem solver that you can afford. And if you can't afford me, then go to that next guy that's less expensive. And we got to be able to say, as tradesmen and contractors, I don't need that work.
Yeah.
Or I don't want that work because I won't make money. I won't be able to feed my family. I won't be able to send our boys to college so they don't come back to the trades or train them, take the time. So there's this balance that we need to be able to say, I'm not going to take every job that someone comes to me, and especially if they say, can you match this lower price?
When they come to you, and especially for the contractor that needs the work in order to keep moving forward, the funds.
It's easier said than done.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And we're not saying here that it's easy. All we're trying to do here with this podcast is start a conversation, point out things that for years I've been talking to you, talking to many contractors. We need to start a conversation because everybody seems to be suffering from the same thing. A lot of times we don't get the help. As you see, a lot of young people, they're not putting like priority to come to the trades anymore.
No.
And I think a lot of things,
But some of that's us.
Yeah.
Like you said, we come home frustrated. We're not showing them how great this can be, and sometimes it's hard to show them how great it can be. And even so, I have an 18-year-old son. He's going and getting a pilot's license and wants to be a commercial helicopter pilot. And he literally did that because I said, if you don't figure out what you're doing, you're working for me. Mm-hmm. So, and I used it as a bat instead of a carrot.
Exactly.
And so he sees how hard we have to work.
Yeah.
And goes, hey, that's I can fall back on that, but I don't want it my priority. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of us have done that with our kids to the point that we're losing our generational contractors. We have to go and bring other people up in the trades and teach them, our way, the way that we need it done, the way the industry needs it done. But there's a lot of low interest in that trade contracting now. I mean, we're people coming up in the trade, so.
And then the other issue there is like you said, not many people coming in, and then the other part is we bidding the projects probably too low. Then when we get a job, we just need to get in it and get it done fast.
Yeah.
So who's got time to train the employee, the new employee? Nobody. Seems to me one of the number one problems that I see with the smaller contractors is like we're not taking our time to train the next guy.
I think part of that is our ability to keep that guy. So if we put in this effort, I've seen it with HVAC contractors and electricians and you as a painter and roofers as the small contractor, bringing that person up in the apprentice style. You put all that training and effort into them, the fear of losing them, of them going somewhere, you trained them, now they're right where you need to be or where they're starting to need to be, and they go somewhere else. And now you're right back. So you have this, I don't want to be a revolving door training ground for the big guy, for the corporate contractors or the commercial contractors. I had 13 employees last year. I'm down to none.
Yeah.
And half of them all went to commercial construction. It's higher pay. Mm-hmm. It's maybe less demanding on a weekly basis. And these employees, and so I was trying to keep up with it, but at some point the residential market's not paying enough to compete with a commercial market where they're making $4 to $6 to $8 more per hour doing maybe the same job or less, and not getting run through we're at this job and then we're at that job and then we're at that job. The commercial jobs tend to be longer, bigger. Commercial contractors are bigger, have more employees, have more benefits. So in the residential market, how do you compete with that? Well, we have to charge more.
Yeah. And one of the things that, in a good way, I disagree with that mentality. I'm not saying that is your mentality, but I hear all the time, it doesn't matter what trade. A lot of us stop training employees because of the fear that they're going to find a better opportunity and they're going to leave. I like the phrase that many of us know is like, you build people, not business.
Right.
So first you build people. If people feel good with you and they feel happy and they see a reason why, if you show them like you're going to grow and they have a great future with you, then they might, most likely they stay longer. And this is personally, I believe on this. If someone comes to work for me and don't have the expectations to run their own business in a few years, I really don't know if I want to keep that guy, because I want somebody that comes with a mentality that he's getting paid. While he's getting paid and trained, he's going to run my company like his own business.
Like it's their own.
Like his own business. So the time he spends 3-5 years with me, he's going to give me the best. And he's going to be trained the right way. So when he goes and start his own business, guess what? I know someone up there that I can trust with their quality. A person that knows how I like things done. A person that I can trust to recommend to you. If I cannot do it, if I need help, I say, listen, I know somebody that I train, right? And the bigger picture here is, to me, when you stop training, the entire community loses one more contractor or one more professional. But when you train that guy, and you started your own business, I started my own business, why do we get mad when some of our employees, they want to do the same thing? We should be glad. We should be glad
Absolutely.
that the community is going to have one more professional helping them. So I personally have 3 guys that own their own businesses that used to work for me. To me, that's the biggest reward. I mean, I don't. It's like,
there's a couple
I have
guys
$3
that
million now. I feel like $1 million on each, right? It's in
Investing.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
So that's why with that mentality, I disagree. And I feel like we focus too much on that, like, I'm going to lose. No, I feel like you're going to gain way more, because that person that you train, you always going to be their model. They're going to respect you more. But when we don't train them, of course they're going to say, well, I don't see no future here. I'm going to have to go find somewhere else, where they show me that they care about me. What do you have to say about that?
So I think the grass is always greener
On the other side?
on the other side, right? So you get these young people in the trades. We're working hard through the summer. We're pushing hard because we need to get jobs done, and they see a couple dollars down the road.
Yeah.
And in the past, I've been where if an employee, and this happened to me almost every employee this year, they came and said, hey, I can make more money in commercial than I'm making with you. My mentality is, you better go do that.
Yeah.
You better go learn that side of the trade. I think it'd be good for you, and you're not burning a bridge. Well, it happened a lot in the last year. And so instead of me trying to replace those employees, I've relied more on my trade contractors, hired finished carpenters when we haven't in the last 5 or 6 years, and just hiring framing contractors when we haven't in the last 5 or 6 years. So my mentality is like, I'm not going to go try to reinvent the wheel with employees quite as fast as I did 8 years ago. But also when an employee comes to me and says, hey, I can make more money, they're already looking for something else. Yeah. And I want to encourage them to go try something new. And then you go, hey, they're out there winning, doing what they want to do, if it's not with me, I agree. You've given them opportunity to learn with you, opportunity to learn with someone else, and if they come back and work for us in the future, I think it's a gain, not a loss.
Exactly.
And they're still in the trades now. A couple guys I've had work for me have started their own business. Yeah, that's a satisfaction. And I can say, hey, if you want a little kitchen remodel done, call this guy. He'll do a great job for you. I don't have time to take on that. A couple guys have left the trades just because the work's easier. Went to work for, a retailer or something where it's a punch the clock Monday through Friday, and you go to the same spot every day, and you expect that nothing changes, right? So if you need that, then that's the job you go do. But I think in the keeping guys on the trades and encouraging them is it comes down to we're not making enough money in the residential market to do that.
That's exactly right, because every employee that you add to your business, it's going to cost you so much than the just wages that you're paying them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and this is the trap. You already talked about the pricing that sometimes we don't see what we need to charge, and that's something that I would like to mention again, because that's true. I feel that all the pain that we feeling from being the contractor, it's because we're not making enough money. Because I feel like if you were making enough money, your perspective be way different.
No,
your
for sure.
sentiment be way different. You'd be feeling great, right?
Yeah.
So the pain that we're feeling, it's because we just don't know how to charge. I've been in construction for 35 years, with my business almost 20 years also. Am I an expert to how to charge? No. I feel like that's one of the areas that no one becomes an expert, and for this reason. Before the virus, things were different. After, things move so fast, pricing moves so fast, excuses flow left and right. So things are really difficult. And so now that puts a panorama of things that we just don't understand, and we don't know how to control. So I see a lot of contractors out there struggling these days, frustrated. And a lot of times it's their fault, because we get sucked into this and locked into this mentality, and like, well, this is how things has been, they always work for me. Well, apparently not.
No.
And that's what I would like to make this call in.
Well, there's an industry-wide and consumer-wide mentality that I should be able to give you a price today and hold it through the entire project. 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, 365 days, I should be able to give you the price today, and that's your price, guaranteed, until we're done. And with the volatility in our materials market, since COVID hit, and even a little bit before that, there's too much change that could occur between the day we sign a contract and the day we're finished, that's impossible to hold that line. And so we got to be able to control our cash flow and control our costs through change order processes, but the customer needs to know that expectation, right? And so when I sit down with a customer, I try and explain, like, hey, this is our budget, and you have a contingency. You always want a customer to understand contingency. How much contingency really depends on the size of project. Should it be 10% of the project? Probably not, depending on the project, though. It should really be a dollar amount. It should be $20,000. It should be $50,000. Or it should be $100,000 of contingency, depending on how many selections that customer's made and all this. So setting that expectation that I can't hold a fixed price for 6 months, for 12 months, really starts at the very beginning. And then when we don't watch our numbers, when we can't tell that customer, I can do that, but it's going to cost more, we just try and please the customer with the product they ask for or demand or expect, but never gave us that expectation, we're going to lose that margin and that on every project. And so managing your cash, managing your cost control, managing that expectation with the customer, and then really, if they're using a bank, banks have this mentality that you should have a fixed price contract. That is not possible.
Yeah.
If someone signs a fixed price contract, they are lying to you.
Yeah.
It is not possible because lumber market, sheetrock market, just fuel alone, we see price increases because fuel prices. And unfortunately, we never see price decreases because of fuel prices. If fuel comes down, we're not going to see a decrease in price. They're going to hold that to maintain or recapture price market, right? So we get these price increases middle of the year. We get 30 days. We don't get 6 months. We don't get a year. So you got to be able to manage that price increase with the customer and set that expectation from the beginning that it's not, this is not going to, unless you write a check me today and I write a check to that,
And
to
lock
that
the
vendor
price
and
in,
lock
yeah.
the price in, it's not going to happen.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Nobody wants to give you more than 90 days.
If that.
Yeah. I mean, I used to get my pricing from my vendors for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right now, they only do 90 days. A few, they do 6 months. But they said if they have an increase, they don't honor that price. So a lot of the small contractor, I want to use this phrase because I feel like that happens to me a lot too. We feel we're cowards when we get with a hit of materials increase and we go and kind of mention it to the contractor or the homeowner. And honestly, homeowners, they understand. Most of the homeowners, when I mention to them that, hey, I have a paint increase, I bid this job a few months ago. Now, look, I have a paint increase, and then paint too.
Paint and paint.
Paint and paint.
Yes.
And then said, don't worry, Israel, we'll make up the difference. But then you take it to a general contractor that builds homes, and they act like, and they should be understanding more, right? Because they're the same paint. And then they go like, no, I can't. I mean, what am I going to take it back to the homeowner? Right? This price, I bid it like 2 years ago. I bid this house 2 years ago. It's like, so am I, right?
Right.
So why do I need to pay for that paint or material increase out of my pocket? But seems to me like that mentality is like, long as it costs you, long as it doesn't cost me, I'm okay.
That's the we're not on the same team mentality.
Exactly.
And I've been there. I've done that to you. I know I've done that to you. Hey, Israel, I got to be at this price.
I don't remember.
But maybe, yeah. I mean, not often, just once or twice in the 15 years we've worked together. But it's the I have to please the customer, or I'm going to juggle. Oh, I have a little extra money here. Mm-hmm. I can put it over here, and you start with that juggling effect, and I can personally juggle 3 balls pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Like I can do that. But you throw a 4th in there and things are going crazy. Yeah. So that contractor mentality that I can keep it all in my head. I can rob Peter. I have an idea. I can manage this without going back to the customer to have that conversation. And you just start a domino effect of beating yourself up, beating your team up mm-hmm. for a better price for the customer.
Exactly.
And we need to manage that where you set the customer's expectation that I can't fix this price for 6 months. And when a change occurs, a price change occurs, we either look at paying the extra or reducing the work we do to stay in the same price. We can't just give it away. It kills us.
We can't. And that happened to me so many times where, the person that I'm doing the work, the contractor, it just like says, listen, you gave me this price. I have somebody else, I got 2 bids or 3 bids here that are actually way cheaper than you. You've been working with me for 9 years. And so, Israel, you need to like lower your price. You being loyal, working for me, I'm asking all my loyal subs to help me out, lower their price. And to me, that's blowing mind. What was the right word? Mind blowing.
Yeah, mind blown.
That
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. We are part of your team. We're making your projects look good and finish on time. We've been doing it for 9 years or so many years. We've been loyal, like you said. And now you're asking me to lower my price because you promised the customer that had a loan or had money. And then you're trying to get me to do work for that customer that is going to have a nice custom home or project or business or whatever.
And the only person that benefits from that giveaway is the customer or the bank that's financing it, because then they get more value in that property. And you just take away money from yourself, from your subs, from your team.
And that's exactly my point is, like, if you surround by good subs, they're going to take care of you. I feel like as a general contractor, you should see, like, these are my guys that are going to help me with this project. They're my soldiers. They're going to fight for me. So as a general, you don't supposed to look out for your soldiers. So, that's the mistake that I see many contractors. They expect and treat subcontractors bad, and they wonder why they're not like helping them out. It's like you're a team. You need to select your team, and you need to fight for your team. And I feel like if there's a cost increase, well, you as the general contractor, you need to go back to your customer and say, listen, this is not my sub fault, but he cannot do the work for free. Right? Yeah. So we need to find and work together. How can we compensate this guy? Because it's never, if he closes his company, he'll get in debt because of us. And what the sentiment that I see a lot of contractors seems like, I don't care as long as it's not me. I'm going to tell you this story, like recently, talking to this contractor. He was telling me all the frustration on the residential home building and how they're going to make a shift to the commercial just because of all the headaches, regulations, and not making enough money, and they don't want to give $1 away because, it's not fair to them, But then they got a quote for me for a couple of custom homes, and he's like, we hire a painter that actually is doing it for half of your price. And he admitted to me, it's like, we talk here in the office and we wonder, how is this guy making any money? Because we're not paying him enough. What we pay him is like, we just wonder how he can make any money. And that make me think, I'm like, wait a minute, don't you be just, we're talking about like the same thing that you would not work for somebody for free, and you don't want somebody doing it to you, but then you totally okay doing it to another fellow contract that is trying. And I feel like, Clint, this mentality needs to change in construction. Because when you heard that contractor, you heard in the industry, you heard in it for yourself. And if the customer's not paying you what you deserve to build them a custom home, believe me, you have something to do with that too.
Oh yeah, that is so, it's so true. because if you expect a certain quality, but then you go and shop the quality that you're going to get with Westpro, and you go and shop that and see someone that's 50%. There's only 3 things that affect a price of a job: is time, schedule, and quality. Time is scheduled, so budget, schedule, and quality. And so if you're going to reduce that price by 50%, your quality and your time are going to be affected 100%. Your quality is going to go down, or the time it takes you to do it is going to go way up. So those 3 things, that general needs to say, I'm either going to lose quality and time, or I'm going to lose a ton of quality and no time, but something's going to be affected. There's no free lunch here, and 50% off is a number that you got to ask that question.
Yeah.
So, and all you're doing, like you said, all you're doing is hurting yourself and your customer, and by not by not keeping with your team and keeping with the quality that you have sold that customer. For one, look at our quality. I show pictures of our work, my work and your work all the time. The customer comes and said, we like that work, we like that quality, but then I go and find a guy that's 50% your price. I guarantee his quality is going to be less than yours. So now you're
He's
switching.
He's going to invest less time in it.
You're switching.
He's not going to make money.
What you presented to that customer, and so I think we got to be careful doing that.
And we got to remember, a general contractor and a subcontractor, we're not doing this for fun.
Mostly, we should. I mean, it should be fun, but we're doing it to.
I play basketball for
retire.
fun, dude.
We should be doing it to say we have a retirement.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
We have the ability to send our kids to events and maybe college or trade school. Man, let's send our kids to trade schools. It's no different than for another corporation and getting a retirement and getting that medical benefit. You got to be able to cover all those things. And if all we're doing is cutting our price to meet a customer's desired budget, you're just taking that away from yourself.
Very good. Right there, we just want to add, what do you think most of contractors out there, because you mentioned retiring, paying yourself, making money, securing your future. That's the next point that I want to touch, that I know for a fact, most of us, we're not paying ourselves. Why do you think it is that most in the construction industry, we think the small contractors, I'm not talking about the big corporations or big companies that they already got it down, but the small contractor like us, we tend to pay everybody else, but then we forget about ourselves, and we're the ones working 24/7 on the business.
Well, I think that's been driven into us from years of trade contractors. Before you and I ever started in the business, it's get the job done mentality, get paid later mentality. It's also not knowing your numbers, not knowing what we really cost, and then or not estimating correctly. So I want to go back to estimating.
Yeah.
I used to estimate jobs with the mentality that there's 5 of me. There's not 5 of me. There's not 4 of me. There's not 3 of me. There's only 1 of me. And then you have to figure out what your employees or what your trade contractors are gonna be able to do in that time frame. And then you're truly only working a percentage of that. What do they say? 2,000 hours a year. In the trades. There's you're paying your employees for travel time or shop time to get prepared for the job. So our estimating mentality has to be, I don't just need to make wages. I don't need to make my $22 an hour. I don't need to make $45 an hour. It's really, and especially now, tool replacement time and fuel. Your wages they should be charging. We're pushing 100 to 150 an hour in the trades these days, and it used to be 65. It used to be 45. I mean, 20 years ago, 45 an hour, people would have just been like, it's too much. But it's really where it needed to be 20 years ago. And then with the cost of doing business, and especially in Washington State, it needs to be in the 100 plus an hour range for what you charge the customer so that you can cover the things that we're covering, general liability insurance and builder's risk insurance and bonding. And so if a customer wants that, I want to hire a general contractor because there's security in that, because the state makes us carry a bond and a license and insurance and builder's risk insurance when we're building new homes. And then you have to also provide that risk insurance to me as a general contractor. All those things, that risk aversion for the customer costs money. And we just haven't charged enough for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And obviously, we're not presenting here margins, markups, and how to know your numbers. But I feel like we're talking about it. And if you're a contractor up there that you feel like you're one of those that you just don't understand the numbers, well, there's professionals that you can reach out. Don't keep making the same mistake over and over.
But I was gonna look at that too, though, because I think the professional accounting and tax accounting world,
the traditional,
drives us to say, I'm going to pay myself the very least amount possible, and then recoup that in markup or margin on a job, but then the job runs long. There's cost overruns on materials that we decide we're gonna eat. There's all these extras, and now there's no extra money to pay me what I'm really worth. So I'm making minimum wage on a job instead of making, contractor wages on a job. And so we've done that to ourselves between listening to that tax accountant saying, on the books, pay yourself the minimum amount required by the IRS to, no, I'm gonna make sure my wages are covered so I can make a living and then some and put some money aside and then figure out what our rates are. So knowing that number is key. And I mean, I'm 20 years in this, running my own business, and I still don't have it perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variants and variables that create this number. So you got to be paying attention to them all the time.
All the time. They're changing. Once you think that you know them, they slip out of your hands.
Yeah.
So, but the key here is every single project is also new, right? Every estimate that you put is for a new, different project.
Yeah.
So just like you worked up estimate, you should check the numbers, and you cannot wait until the end of the year to see if you got any profit. You have to,
or the end of the job.
Yeah.
You have to be managing your money, your financials throughout the job costs, cost overruns, change orders throughout the job. Because if you wait to the end, all you're going to be is frustrated that you can't go back and get something.
and still have to finish the job.
To finish the job. Yeah, no, that's right.
That's what I feel is consuming a lot of contractors, especially residential contractors up there. And I feel like that's why like I mentioned, I wanted to have this conversation, and I want to keep having this conversation and finding those professionals, people in the industry, not just, like people reading it from a book or from the social media. No, people that are actually doing it, living it, right there in the trenches, in the mud. And I want to have their perspective. I want to hear their stories. I want people, other contractors up there, to listen to us, and we want to listen to them. And we want to just start like a conversation movement in the construction industry, not in a negative, bad way. No. But my main goal, I feel like you and me, we sacrifice a lot. We invested a lot in experience, in perfecting our abilities. So why should we be working for the minimum wage? We should be compensated. And I believe that every single contractor, especially those that build custom homes, how many of you are really ready to walk in and build a custom home? Not many of us.
No.
So there's a few of them, and if they have the guts, they have the balls to do that, taking those challenges, it's like, don't you think they should be rewarded?
Oh,
I feel like they should, and that's why I'm not criticizing. I'm not making this to make anybody feel dumb or stupid. It's like all I want to have or accomplish with this is, hey, we just need to take a time out and see where we are. And if you are frustrated and you don't have money in your bank account, you are the one that in control. It is your own fault. It is my own fault. And if you don't like that feeling, well, we need to change something.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and don't. I think it's funny because you think, well, the next job.
Yeah.
I'll make it up on the next job, without changing anything, and without changing either your efficiencies or your expectations. And as you go to the next job, now you're just robbing from that job to pay the last job. And without setting that expectation and knowing what you need to be, know that number. Here's my end number, and I'm going to work backwards from it to say this is where I'm going to be. Then you're going to be chasing that, robbing Peter to pay Paul is what they say, and you're going to be robbing Peter to pay Paul through every job.
I think most contractors, we feel like we're in the rat race, right?
Yeah.
Just spinning and spinning, but not getting anywhere. Busy. We're always busy, but not getting any results.
So I think the last 4 years has made some of that harder. I've had more quality issues with products we receive, either fixtures or faucets or doors and hardware. More quality issues, warranty callbacks, return it because it's not made properly in the last 4 years than I had in the previous 16. total.
Yeah.
And so we chase that on top of trying to manage that job. And so if we can just get to that, hey, we're going to expect a higher quality. We're going to demand that if you're on my team, we're going to point out when I messed up, when I made a mistake, and not let my painter find it. And not let so we're going to QA or quality assure those jobs every day, day in and day out, because we're all on the same team, and we don't want to slow down your progress. I don't want to slow down the progress for the customer. But we gotta manage those quality issues, and like I said, I don't know how we do it with the vendor supplier side, other than just saying we're done accepting the bad.
Yeah.
So
Well, just like me, if I do a bad job, somebody's gonna hold me responsible.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't understand sometimes those vendors. They send you a bad, damaged product, and then they expect you to fix it or pay somebody to fix it in place, especially with doors that have, I'm talking about doors or that kind of trim that have lines, scratches, deep scratches, and then instead of returning it, a lot of times they say, hey, can you fix this?
Well, they don't, and then the other
Of course
part is
we can.
not even owning it. Like, they know they scratched it in the delivery process. It just gets set there on the job, and then we find it when we're hanging it. We find it when we're installing it. And then we're weeks behind getting that replacement door, instead of someone saying, hey, look, we scratched this door. We'll get the ball rolling on replacing it. It's that quality ownership that we need to demand our industry to get back to. And I'm afraid that since 2020, we've went, we'll just deal with it. Okay, we'll jump that hurdle, or we'll face that battle.
What I notice, everybody likes to sell a lot of excuses and less
Ownership,
instead of selling value and benefit to the clients, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm never against the customer, the client. I feel like if they hire you, they deserve the best product. That's what we're here to sell, right? The only thing is, everybody seems like we just focus on the wrong thing. And that's problems.
Yeah.
We locked into problems that we have no time to not even think in what the solution can be. We need to I feel like you can only think or focus. I mean, just literally imagine a trash can, right? And lock your eyes in it. You won't be able to see anything. Just imagine having flowers behind you, a beautiful sight.
All you're looking at
but
is
if
trash.
you just looking at the trash can, you will miss everything else. And I feel like in the construction industry, a lot of the contractors, a lot of the businesses in general, like even vendors, everybody, I feel like worldwide, we just locked into the trash can. That means in the negative, on the problems and frustrations, and we not even have, sight or time to look at what's the possible solution to these problems. And then because we don't have energy, we're not looking at them. We don't want to look at them. But I feel like sometimes I'm crazy because I believe in people. I believe in change, and I feel like if we did this to ourselves, like you mentioned in the beginning, in the construction industry, we did it to ourselves. We disrespect ourselves. We give disrespect to our families by working with numbers that they're not real, they don't exist, which is consuming us energy, is giving us a lot of stress, and we give sometimes problems with our family, with our spouses, wives, because they get frustrated from not seeing us. We're trying, we're not bringing any rewards. Of course, they get frustrated. So I feel like we just need to start a conversation, find the right people. I honestly believe that I want to make this platform to grow for contractors, for the construction industry. Do I have all the solutions? No. I'm going to initiate this conversation. Yeah. And I hope that experts in numbers up there listen to this and they give us advice. Say, hey, let's create a network, a contractor professionals, accounting, marketing, analysts or whatever you call them,
Sure.
experts on numbers, and putting this network or this team together to help contractors. If I don't know my numbers, I don't even know how to estimate correctly what numbers I need to make profitable, then these people can help us, right? So that's my goal with this. Because I feel, like I said, construction, everybody needs construction. How many babies do you think are born every single day in the United States alone? Now, how, I was going to say ahora, like now in Spanish, see how my,
Okay, yeah.
I always want to switch to Spanish. So now, how many houses do you think are built for those kids every day? Not enough. So, and it seems to me like for our discussion, seems like the problem is not stopping anytime soon because less people are coming to learn how to build a home, right?
Right.
Other people or young people are moving into other industries. So you see the real problem for us, for the communities? So many new lives, new kids, new people, that in 20 years, 25 years, they're going to need millions of homes. And then people walking away from the residential construction. I would like, for our leaders to stop for a little bit and think about these numbers coming from an idiot like me, right? And see if they can see the problem, because a lot of times they just promising things, playing with your and my mind, talking about things that they create in jobs and how things are going to get better by doing nothing. And I feel like as contractors, as people in that community, I'm not expecting them to change it for me. I'm not expecting the state to change it for me. I feel like if I'm in pain, I'm in a dirty lake, taking bath in the muddy waters. That's how I see construction. I feel like it's up to us to clean it, to come together and take action, because we're the first ones affected by that. And most of that dirty water is being created by us,
Sure.
No one else, us.
I had a good conversation with my wife coming down here today. She's a realtor. She helps me with my business books. And can young people today afford a new home? And the answer is no. I mean, there's so many young couples still living with mom and dad and trying to make, set enough money aside to just afford a home in general. But I don't know that new homes are the answer to affordability in the young buyer market. I feel like homes that need some sweat equity, that need some fix and repair, that need to be, they're the older home. But the problem is our young generations don't have either the ability or the desire to build that sweat equity into a home anymore. They want the instant gratification. I want to buy a new home that's maybe even fully furnished, that has no maintenance, no issues. The yard's in, the fence is in. I just hit the garage door remote and pull into my garage, and I don't have to worry about anything behind it. So that young buyer right now won't buy the fixer-upper.
Mm-hmm.
And put that sweat equity into their home so they can now sell that home and buy a new home, or do it again and then buy a new home. So there's this disconnect between what a young buyer should be doing in terms of building sweat equity in a property, like you and I probably did. My first home I lived in was not a brand new house. And then I hadn't even built my own home until I couldn't sell one that I built, and I moved into it. And so you got to have that desire, one, and ability, two, in that buyer market. So how do we get that young buyer to buy the new home? Well, you got to build smaller, but nobody wants smaller.
Yeah, well, bigger.
They want bigger.
Bigger the better, they say.
And I drove through part of the Tri-Cities today that I hadn't been in a long time, and the size of homes through the Richland area, the Old Town Richland area. They are tiny.
They're small.
Tiny homes. But no, I mean, and I'm talking like 1,000 square feet or less. Yeah. And you won't go into a new home subdivision and find 1,000 square foot home. You'll find 12 to 1,400 is probably the smallest home you'll buy, or find, and then bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I think that part of that, the job of the real estate market and the job of the banking market is to try and educate these buyers that you need to buy something that you can build sweat equity into, and then those persons selling that home are our market, the move up buyers or the downsizing. Someone has a 4,000 square foot home, their kids are all moved out, their kids aren't living with them. Now they're going to downsize. They want new. They can afford new. The other thing is affordability, like the financing side. What got us into a lot of trouble in 2007, 2008, 2009 is 100% financing or 105% financing.
Yeah.
Doing this, where you only have to pay interest only to get into the home for the first 5 years, and then the market, just so many homes were bought on that 100% financing, and then they couldn't afford to make the payment. And I think we need to stay away from that. Everybody deserves a new home mentality because it's just going to get us in the same place we were in 2008, 2009.
Well, the solutions to those problems, they're very immense, right?
Right.
They're huge. And the only thing I was saying with so many kids are born and they're going to need homes, it's because, just like you said, not necessarily a new home, but it's like now if we don't build on a rate that so many people are born and no housing are built, well, the houses that exist, old or small, whatever, they're just going to cost a fortune.
Yeah.
It's
going to be a lot of demand. And
a lot of demand.
Little supply.
Exactly. So the solution, I don't have it. I don't know what it is, but we need to start.
I think it's training.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people, right now, like the market is kind of tough for the real estate right now. I see a lot of signs around, people waiting, the buyer waiting for prices to come down. And going back to that point, that's the reason I believe that houses are not coming down, because the only reason they stay, buyers are not buying, or not, the sellers are not selling their home is because the interest rates are so high.
That's right.
But once, let's say if interest rate comes down, I'm not an expert on this field, but I feel like if they come down, they're going to go back to like 2 years ago, where those people holding the money with money, but they don't want to buy right now because they want to buy cheaper, they're just going to go back and start buying those properties. And the first-time buyers, people that need a house,
aren't going to be able to afford them.
They're not going to be able to afford them. So we're back in the same boat, same problem, right? So, yeah. So how do you see the future of the residential construction, Clint, from your perspective? Do you think is shocked, it's gone, or there's hope?
No.
If somebody wants to, let's say, come into the trade, building homes, is there any future for profit for that company, for that business person? What do you think? What is your perspective? What would you say?
I think the residential market is it's like a roller coaster, right? And we've seen a couple big ups and a couple very low downs now, and it's been various causes, what's driving that. But I think our biggest challenge now is the manpower. The people power in the trades has diminished so much, and the desire that we as builders, as trade contractors, need to either encourage young people to join the trades. But what drives people to make decisions on what career path they follow? Either they love it,
Dinero,
or it pays well. Mm-hmm. And if we can't pay in the residential market what attracts young people to the trade, you're not going to get the people who love it, because even if they love it, they're going to go somewhere else to make better money. Mm-hmm. And that some of that other places has been specific trades like electricians, plumbers, but they're leaning on that commercial market where they pay well. So we gotta get our mentality that we can charge for our services, so we can pay for our services. Mm-hmm. And I think if contractors don't start doing that, residential contractors specifically, we're gonna keep facing the same problem: is not enough manpower, not enough time, not enough supply to the market, and we'll still be in the same place 5 years from now.
Yeah, when you mentioned a while ago the minimum wage, many people maybe that don't agree with me, but I feel like minimum wage shouldn't exist because that just makes people, what's the word? They call them in Spanish conformista. Well, yeah, and no,
Or expect.
and then kills your drive to grow, to set goals for yourself. I'm going to add value to myself, to my experience. I'm going to be worth more. So I feel like when somebody gets paid the minimum wage, they have no desire to grow, to add value to what they offer to the marketplace, to the community, and they're content. Well, I'm making this much money now, so there is killing the drive.
Minimum wage should not be a living wage. It should be a learning wage. I can improve myself. I'm going to go flip burgers for minimum wage, but I'm going to get better. I'm either going to manage flipping burgers for more money, or I'm going to go on and do something else for more money. It shouldn't be pushing a broom, or it should be the pushing a broom wage, not a living wage. I'm gonna hire a part-time high school or college aged person to learn that, and then they go, hey, I want to try my hand at framing. Mm-hmm. You get paid more money framing.
Yeah.
And that's how minimum wage should work. If there is one at all,
should be worth. I mean, the person should be worth according to their experience, what they know and what they bring to a company.
That's right.
The value that they bring to a company, because everybody, as a business, everybody hires you to make them profit. And if they hire you, you're gonna be a liability to them. Yeah. And this is basically what's becoming. I tried to hire employees in the past, and it seems like once they start making mistakes or lack of effort, then it's costing me.
So we see it in retail already. Self-checkout.
Yeah.
Minimum wage has driven retailers to eliminate 4 people checking out. It's one person managing 4 checkouts that you do it yourself. And I was through a gas station the other day. I grabbed a beverage and a snack, and it's all self-checkout. And this gentleman in front of me said they're just eliminating jobs. Mm-hmm. And it's all driven by that minimum wage. And so I said, that's fine. They'll come work for me someday out of that retail, because it's really hard to mechanize the home building process. There's things that can do it. There's things we've done to speed up the process of building the home, but that mechanization's so far out that those retail jobs won't exist anymore. If they continue this minimum wage thing, it's going to mechanize everything. You won't be able to walk out of a store and it'll literally take a picture of everything in your cart and hand you a bill. Mm-hmm. And that mentality that minimum wage is increasing people's living is
hurting.
Wrong. It's hurting the living.
I feel it's hurting.
So removing jobs. I used to need 4 checkers at a grocery store. Now I need 1. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're paying 1 at 20, but everything else is mechanized.
And I feel like
the
common person, understands this. Every time they increase the minimum wage, they know that they go to the grocery store, the gallon of milk costs more because the company, the dairy, have to pay their employees more,
so
the trucker to bring the milk to the store.
That comes to your what you and I think is the common person versus at this level of thinking that, hey, minimum wage drives the cost of living up, but it's a lot of people that are getting minimum wage at, let's say it's $10 an hour. They just got a $2 an hour raise. They're super happy with that. Mm-hmm. They just got another $2 an hour raise. Now it's 14. Another 2. Now it's 16. And that mentality sets in that I can just sit here, not improve my situation, but get a raise. Yep. And it's that I'm entitled to more money. I'm entitled to a living wage that will continue to drive that minimum wage to exist. And it's unfortunate, but it's just going to compound, and we'll battle that unless we change our governing mentality of what minimum wage should be. Bring it back down to the federal. But in this state, we have the highest minimum wage in the country, and it's going to continue to affect how you and I hire people. And if we hire a guy with 0 skills to train them, or if we're going to try and go hire a guy with some skills and get our start getting our value out of them immediately.
Well, those things is going to be really hard, I feel, to change, on our leaders. But I feel like the things that we can control, those are the ones that we're going to be talking about, and we need to change our mindset, because I feel like a lot of things is our mindset is just set wrong. We need to find ways, and I don't know what the solution will be. What do you think will take to bring more people, young people, to the construction industry? What will take?
It goes right back to money,
To
and
dinero?
money, and showing them that it's fun to do this.
Yeah.
And recently, it hasn't been very fun to do this. So we got to get our mindset that, hey, we do this because we enjoy it, and we enjoy it because we get paid well to do it, or
And create this environment in construction. General contractors, they should communicate instead of say, "Oh, he is my competition. I don't want him to discover my secrets. I don't want to share information with them." I totally believe the opposite. I think we should be talking to one another, learning from one another. What works for you might work for the other one, and if doesn't work for you, everybody is different. But I feel like we need to talk. Painters need to talk with painters, drywallers with drywallers, general contractors with general contractors. Technology, it's moving fast, and it's created this openness, worldwide. Nothing is secret anymore. So why do we think, or we're so naive thinking like, oh, I'm keeping all my secrets on my computer. I don't want.
There's no trade secrets. There's no pricing secrets in this industry. It's all available at our fingertips. And I'd say some of my best relationships as an adult have been with other contractors. And the mentality that we're competing for the same business in the last 20 years is not there, because there's not enough contractors. There's not enough people in the trades. So the other thing is, like, I've actually bid or been one of the finalists in a custom home with one of my best friends. And it comes down to, hey, who can you communicate better with? Who do you get along with? How do you feel at the end of the conversation with that contractor? And it's better to select the one that your gut feeling says to go with than price, than any sales pitch you ever get. But if you can select that contractor, that I'm gonna be able to communicate with that contractor, and I'm gonna be able to and that's my mentality, is I'm not competing for that business, other than I want to make sure they're the right customer for me, and that I'm the right builder for them. Yeah. Because everything else is going to be the price that I'm paying for all that material is the same as he's paying. Yeah. And the value that I'm bringing is all that I can compete with.
And I feel like bottom line, we all, in a business is to sell a product, and we need buyers to buy our product. And if a buyer prefers the other guy's product, then instead of getting mad at that person, you need to go back to you and say, why my product or my service tastes so bad? I need to focus and add flavor to it, improve it. That's the responsibility. I feel like everybody should be getting paid well. And if you're not getting jobs, you keep losing jobs to another contractor. That's because maybe, like you said, the other one has got better customer service. It have put more time into training how to sell and how to actually care for the product, for the customer.
Or it's just a character.
Yeah. Sometimes we have it. Sometimes we don't.
Sometimes we don't. And sometimes, they get along because they're both from the same era, or they get along because they both know the same people. Mm-hmm. And that's a pick your builder based on how well you can communicate with them. And if their price is all you're going after, then I'm probably not the right builder for you anyway. Yeah. If really all you're doing is shopping a price, then you need to go to these online builders or these big box builders that are just pumping out a material. Yeah. And so on the custom side, it's pick the right fit.
Education, I feel being educated as a customer, as a contractor, as a service provider. I feel the number one problem in the world, it's ignorance, not being dumb, but ignorant about something that you don't know. And if you don't know it, like we've been discussing many topics, many things, if you don't know, go learn it. And the best way to, eliminate that is to reading, attending seminars, listening to people that know. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask you if there's any book that you can recommend somebody listening, a good book that they can go and learn if it helps you, might help somebody else.
I've read the big corporate books, The Good to Great, Built to Last. Those are good books. I don't think they take into account the fight we have as a small business. And, because they're looking at big corporations, and if you can hone in on some people in the trades that are writing books, you and I have both read the Tom Rebar Contractor Fight.
Okay, Tom, if you're watching this, if you listen one of these days, we want to be in your podcast, or we want you here.
You here. That's absolutely right. So that's a really good, open your eyes, know your numbers, know your customer, know your team, mentality, and then surround yourself with good quality training. But if they're on YouTube, don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Make sure the research
Only
there,
make
sure it's back. But go surround yourself with good training. Always be learning something. Learn a new skill, way of dealing with customers. Be adding value to yourself as much as you're adding value to your jobs every day.
Exactly. Very good. That's excellent, Clint. I appreciate.
And I surround myself with Israel.
That's all he needs.
That's all. So Israel, you've been a great mentor in the building industry. I was young when you first came into the Northwest, and very green, and you've coached a lot of my doings, and
a lot of this gray hair.
Yeah,
that's
came
because
from
of
me.
Clint trying to train him and
get me up to speed. Yeah, absolutely. And so surround yourself with trades that know more. I mean, people that know more than you, and I think you can be successful.
Appreciate your insight, man. Your good perspective of things, your experience. I know you've been in the trenches, just like everybody else. We have learned by experience. So when we telling or talking about these things, it's because we have lived it.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can touch and people can feel that when we saying these things is for a reason, because we want them to be successful. We want it to be successful. That's why we're doing this. And I feel like we cannot build anything by ourselves. We need people. We need support. And I think the main thing that we need to eliminate from construction is that mentality of I don't need anybody. I can do it myself. I don't want to learn from everybody. Humble yourself. Don't be so proud, because like you said, I'm always looking for that person that knows more than me, especially on the number field, mathematics and all that stuff. Somebody knows well numbers. I'm a fan of that person. I don't feel jealous. I feel like that person should work for me. That's the person I need in order for me to grow. So, and that's why I think it's important to have this conversation, and then hopefully with your support and many other supporters, we can create a platform, man, for contractors, for painters, for anybody, that hopefully one day we can change this mindset, this mentality, that we're supposed to be giving our work for free and not compensate ourselves. I feel like professionals in any field, they need to be rewarded, need to be compensated. Mm-hmm. Man, I had a blast with you here, man.
Yeah, it's a good time, good conversation.
Yeah,
and I think one last thing is man, don't steal from yourself and your family. Yeah. Both financially and time, and be the biggest advocate for that. And your business will win.
Very good. Yeah, because we did this for the families, right?
Yeah. No, for sure.
We want to make our families better, and I believe every single contractor or businessman up there, they doing this, they fighting every single day for their family to provide a better future for their family. Nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. That's the American dream, man.
I like it.
Amor del bueno, aprovechemos.